Hi, fifth graders, and thanks for checking out this set of videos. So, this set of videos is all about problem solving. But before we get into some problem solving tips, and I am going to give you my first strategy today in this video, I want to tell you a little bit more about why I love fifth grade math. Not only do the topics in fifth grade math come up all the time in real life, but fifth grade is the year where we get to stretch and expand your thinking. So I love teaching fifth grade math because I get to help you expand on what you already know. So you might be thinking, okay, that's great, but why do I care? And why do we do this in fifth grade of all years? That's because what you've learned all along have been tips or tricks or strategies that work really well for whole numbers. But this year in fifth grade, we're not just going to talk about whole numbers. We're also going to talk about decimals and fractions. And because we start talking about numbers that are less than one, we're going to get to expand what we know and find out what's really been happening behind the scenes with all those tips and tricks all along. So, what does that mean for you? That means this year you are going to hear me say a lot that we are going to break your old way of thinking and expand it to learn what's really been going on all along. Basically, it means you're going to get smarter. So in this set of videos, like I said, I'm going to give you a lot of tips and strategies for word problems. We'll also take a look at tips and strategies for each different math concept in some other videos as well. So the first word problem strategy I want to tell you about is the three reads strategy. And the three reads strategy is a way to make sense of word problems before we actually start to put our pencil on the paper and solve. So how does the three reads strategy work? Well, you might have guessed by the name that three reads means you're going to read a word problem 3 times. The first time you read it, you'll read it and ignore the numbers. This works even better if you can have someone read the problem to you. Because on the first read, you just want to get the gist of what's going on. I like to call this making a mental movie. So you want to read the problem as if it's a story and try to picture what's happening. Now, this might be kind of weird to have a math teacher to tell you ignore the numbers, but for this first read of the story problem, that's exactly what you should do. On your second read, now you're going to pay attention to the relationships between units. You're going to look at those numbers now and think about how do the different numbers in the problem relate to each other. Finally, you'll read it one more time, thinking specifically about possible questions that could be asked from the problem. So you might be given the question right away, or you might not have a question sentence yet. You can think about what possible questions could be asked based on the numbers and the relationships, and how could you solve it? So let's take a look at an example of this, and I'll go through each of the three reads with a very short story problem. So in the first read, I'm going to read this problem, but I'm going to ignore the numbers. So it says, Kelly has magazines to store in boxes. Each box can hold some magazines. So you'll notice I took out this number completely and I changed this number to the word some. That's because I'm just trying to get the gist of what's going on. I'm getting that mental movie. So here I can see that there's this girl, Kelly, and she has a stack of magazines on the floor, and on the other side of her are a bunch of different boxes. Now I'm going to read the problem again, and I'm going to look at the numbers and the relationships between them. So now I'll read this as Kelly has 50 magazines to store in boxes. Each box can hold 6 magazines. Okay, so now I'm picturing that stack of magazines as much bigger than the pile of boxes on the side because I know that I can fit 6 of those magazines in a box. Finally, I'll read it one more time and think about the questions that could come up. So this says Kelly has 50 magazines to store in boxes. Each box can hold 6 magazines. So I might be trying to figure out how many magazines are left over if 5 boxes are full. Or how many boxes will she need for all of the magazines? Or I could be wondering, how many magazines fit in 3 of the boxes? All these different questions would have a different approach to solve them. So then when I finally reveal the question of how many boxes will Kelly need in order to store all her magazines, I could have thought about that in step 3 to find my approach, which I know for this particular question would be to divide. So the 3 read strategy works for any word problem, and it works whether you're using whole numbers, decimals, or fractions. So give that a try on your next word problem or story problem that you look at, and be looking for more videos for tips and tricks and problem solving strategies. Thanks for watching.